And what is a black, sorry, before I start, I kind of want to say, I used to be a playwright when I was younger, as in someone who writes plays. And it's kind of sad I haven't written any in a while. It kind of seems like these days all I kind of do is like play with the words I write and shit. But let me be clear, this poem is an attempt at a play. But first, let me set the stage, okay? First, a question. What is a black body? Answer, a stage. Yeah, a stage set. Set as in noun, a verb. Either way, there will be a curtain call before the play is over. Set as in the bullet said night, night, and I'll watch as a mother sings her son to sleep. And isn't that what we call sunset? Set, as in this year is a race and we're running out of time while blood keeps running out of our bodies. Set, as in what you hear before. Go. And where exactly do we go from here if not back to the beginning question? What is a black body if not a stage set for a tragic play? Sin, action, enter right or left, what does it matter? There will be an exit soon. Black child born, the color in the wings of the color in the clouds of the mother's eyes turns gray soon, you see, but then fades to black. And is that not how the story goes? You know, real short, no backdrop, no character development because ain't no character to develop. Same old plot, except this one has a whole lot of holes and tears. And then it starts all over again, and we watch still, as in America say, shh, do not speak of the burning boy. Your tongue is no host, your mouth is no hydrant, your saliva ain't that powerful enough to put this one out, boy. This fire has been burning for years now. Still, as in something that will or might happen in the future. Still, as in a single shot from a movie, and we watch still. Yeah. What is a black body? Silence, and also the silencer. What is a black body? A broken hymn, a hum. What is a black body?
Welcome to Paradigm Shift TV 314. This is your brother, Piankhi Patamatulu Neferamun Ra, a.k.a. DMG, the agnostic bastard. I know some people got a problem with agnostic, but it is what it is. So, as I always say, my usual greeting, I'm going to say Hotep to my fellow Kemetic brothers and sisters. I'm going to say Islam to my Moorish brothers and sisters. God bless to my Christian brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum. To my brothers and sisters in the NOI, I'm gonna say Jumbo. To the rest of my brothers throughout the brothers and sisters, let me include them queens, throughout the African diaspora, be it here in the wilderness of the United States of America or beyond. And with that, welcome to Paradigm Shift TV 314. I got my usual partner in crime, Nobody from Trust and Believe the Gospel. And I got a special guest, the God Body, Marlon Simmons.
Peace.
What's up, brothers?
Peace.
So as we were saying before the show kicked off, we're talking about racism and white supremacy, etc. And how some people seem to have an aversion to talking about white people in a particular way. And I'm talking about our brother, the conscious Christian Jerome Green. Now, when I, in particular, say things about white people that happen to be true, my brother seems to want to come to their defense. And what do I mean? If I mention slavery, he tends to bring up slavery in Africa as if it's some kind of equivalent when it's not. And I'm going to tell you why it's not. First of all, you can't show me nowhere in Africa where slaves were treated with the degradation and the inhumanity that they were here. Number one. Number two, you can't show me where they were at any point, these slaves in Africa were regarded as less than human. Where they were basically considered animals and bred as such. You can't show it to me because it never happened. So now you can't, when we compare slavery in Africa to slavery over here, the only thing that's that they got in common is that these people were slaves. That's it. And then another thing about when people bring up slavery in Africa, I never heard them bring up European slavery. I never heard them say how Europeans owned the Europeans as slaves, or like Rome taking over and enslaving people in Gaul or Thrace and all of these different institutions. But they always say Africans enslaved Africans, but they never give Africans the respect of saying it was the Zulus against the Ifa or the Dogon against this tribe, as if these were all the same people under the same umbrella and they just turned in on each other. These were different people with different cultures and different ways of life. You never heard about a Zulu enslaving a Zulu or an Ashanti enslaving an Ashanti, because they felt these were different people with different groups, different villages, different ways of life. So, but we give the European the respect to say Romans were Romans, Greeks were Greeks, Thracians were Thracians, etc. But we don't get that to Africans. So why even bring up African slavery when I'm talking about antebellum slavery in the American South?
And the thing was, they were servants. They weren't called slaves.
I think y'all kind of doing my little bro injustice by him not being here to defend himself at the moment. Now, I don't know if he's gonna jump on, but
we just generalize.
I don't want y'all to get
he can watch it, and he
can watch
it. Oh, real quick, Marlon. He can watch it, and he can come on and do a response whenever he feel like it. The channel is his. He got carte blanche, and he know that. So that's on that tip. But this ain't just for him. This is for anybody who shares his opinion.
Exactly. Exactly. There's no way. And like you said, those weren't slaves in Africa. They were servants. They were never called slaves, bro. They were servants, and they weren't treated like slaves.
They were called slaves, bro. That's come on now, stop playing, bro. but now I get what Piankhi's saying. He's saying based off of a particular situation that he brings up about white slavery in America, it shouldn't be a counter argument to direct attention towards Africa if it's not on the same playing field. So that's where he's coming from.
Two totally different things you're talking about, though.
Yeah,
like slavery.
That's what he's saying too.
Yeah, slavery here today is not what we did in that. We didn't do people like that in Africa, bro. We didn't. And most of those people wanted to be with the people they were enslaved by. They wanted to be a part of their clan or a part of the Zulus or a part of the Shanti or whoever. If they drifted off from their clan.
That's not totally true, bro. Come on now. That's pseudo, man. Now the difference in what my brother Piankhi just explained, as in how they did certain things to African Americans over here in America, that was unique. But so fact is people owning people, even if they wanted to be owned or not, that's not unique, bro. That's been going on since the beginning of time, bro. There is a such thing as indentured servitude. Like you're saying, there was a system where people would sell themselves into indentured servitude, but at the same time, we also had direct slavery.
All right, we got the conscious Christian in the house, y'all, but go ahead.
Piankhi, restate what you stated so that my brother can hear what you said and he can defend himself.
So Jerome, here's my take on we talking about racism, white supremacy, etc. And so my issue is with you in particular as it pertains to this subject is it seems like whenever somebody, whether it be me, Marlon, or anybody else, say something about white supremacy, white racism, and what white people have done as it pertains to our people, as a response, we get back slavery in Africa or what black people doing to each other, as if slavery in Africa somehow is comparable to slavery in the antebellum South.
Or has something to do with what's going on.
Nobody else can show me where slaves were treated in Africa the way our ancestors was treated in the American South. Nobody can, because it didn't happen.
Right. So,
you can't show me where, hold on, you can't show me where people weren't regarded as people, where they were regarded as animals and treated and bred like animals. Nobody can show me that. So why people make that comparison is beyond me. Nobody brings up European slavery and how Europeans enslaved each other as if that's some kind of comparison, but you want to bring up African slavery as if it's some kind of comparison when we talking about slavery in the antebellum South, something that was called the peculiar institution because it was never seen anywhere in history, anywhere in the world. So why bring up African slavery? If I'm talking about oppression from white people against black people, why are you bringing up what goes on between black people?
Right.
And let's have a civilized conversation, Piankhi. Don't cut the brother off.
I got you. I'm not gonna repeat yesterday.
You're trying to get the understanding. I want to understand why. I just want to understand why. That's all. I just want to understand.
All right. So
let Jerome go.
Let me
hey, before you go, Jerome, let's do this. Let's give everybody 5 minutes. Can we do that? That way
that'll work.
Ain't nobody interrupting nobody, and then everybody will have their fair time to talk. I'm finna do the clock right now.
That'll work.
That way everybody got their fair amount of time. So give me 1 second. Let's go to.
While he's doing that, y'all, we're gonna go in order. Since Piankhi just went, Jerome can go after him. Marlon, you can go after Jerome, and then I'll go after you, and then Piankhi will start it back all over again.
All right, Jerome, I'm gonna start your 5 minutes when you start talking.
All right, give me a few seconds.
Yeah, man, I couldn't let y'all jump. My little brother had to go and get him on.
No, I'm not gonna
Nobody
jump.
jumped
I told you.
I posted the video. He jumped.
First of all, this ain't Jerome. I tell you, this ain't nothing new. This ain't
I already know
nothing.
y'all go at it. I already know. I'm just saying, y'all know that's my little brother, so I couldn't. Of course, I was gonna defend him without him being here, but I had to go and get him up in here because I ain't gonna.
Oh man, I thought I was your little brother, bro. Goddamn,
you my big brother, bro.
I'm out of here, man. This man, I'm out of here, man.
Nah, you my big brother, Marlon. You my big bro, man.
I'm just messing with you, my nigga. I'm just messing with you, bro. You know how it is.
Oh yeah, it's all love.
All right, so
yeah, I like to have fun with y'all. Y'all cool group of niggas, man. I ain't gonna lie, man.
All right, everybody mute their mic while Jerome talking.
All right.
Okay, so here's the thing. I feel like the position that I hold when it comes to us talking about race relations, period, is that when people bring up slavery in the South, which I'm not trying to vitiate the rigorousness and the treatment of our ancestors in the antebellum South during chattel slavery by bringing up slavery in, Africa per se. What I'm trying to get, like the problem that I have with people who bring up this argument about slavery in America of African people by certain Europeans is that most of them, and Piankhi is an exception in that regard, most of them don't necessarily bring up slavery in Africa. They don't bring up the fact that Africans assisted in the slave trade in the first place. And they don't bring up the fact that a lot of how can I say? The European adopted that form of slavery from what he saw taking place on the continent itself. And I know people may disagree with me on that, but I'll give you an example of what I mean. Tibutil was a African Muslim slave trader. Now, what a lot of people don't know is people love to bring up Leopold and what he did to the Congolese people. They don't know that the predecessor for what Leopold did was Tibutil, who was an African man. And what he did to African women and what he did to African men is to a degree comparable to what took place in America. He had black men castrated. He held black women as sex slaves. You know what I'm saying? All that type of stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? It's not direct comparison, but the treatment and the inhumaneness is comparable. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the reasons why I bring up what took place on the continent. And it's not to try to downplay what Europeans did to our ancestors, but you got to think about the fact that what Europeans have done on a grand scale is a microcosm of the is a macrocosm of the microcosm that was already taking place in most of those areas when it comes to how the indigenous people treated each other. And I'm not just talking about Africa, I'm talking about everywhere.
All right, you got about 2 minutes left. You done?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna start the time over. Give me 1 second. Let me reset. All right, whoever going next, I'm gonna start the time when y'all start talking.
Go ahead, Marlon.
All right, I'll say peace to everybody on the platform. My thing is this, man. I mean, I've done my history on, African slavery, if you want to say, but I mean, I don't say slavery, I say servant, indigenous servants, or whatever the case was. And yeah, you had some people that brutalized other Africans, especially if they came from another tribe. You know what I'm saying? But what white people do here in America and in other places is not the same as what Africans did to Africans, bro. You got to understand, for one, they're not African, all right? They're not black. They're none of that. So for them to come into a black nation and do what they're doing to black people here in this part of the world, it's totally different. It's not done for the same reason. Okay, in Africa, people were born with power. Okay, and white people saw that when they were introduced to Africa, they saw, damn, these people are rich. Okay, they're born rich. Europe doesn't have what Africa has. They don't have gold, diamonds, rubies, jade, the little stuff that works the cell phone in the ground. They don't have none of that stuff over there in Europe. So what they saw is a way to gain what they wanted was the things from Africa: gold, diamonds, rubies, oil, all that stuff. They had to find some type of way to gain the power and put the fear in the people that they are the, you know what I mean? That they're the top notch power. So their whole way towards their whole way they were doing the slavery was totally different from Africans, because they had to do it to put fear into them that they are the greatest power, the greater power. They don't mind murking you. They invented guns. They kept the technology going further and further because they knew if they would try to come over and take the Africans out, they would have a problem, bro. So they had to invent guns, bombs, stuff like that. They couldn't. They trust me. We do not operate like them, dog. We just don't. I mean, with all the history I've done about Africa and Europe and other places, they don't rock like us. They don't have what we have, man, and that's the problem. They're mad because they are not us. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care what nobody says. Oh, man, look, they're mad because they're not us, bro. And if you really want to be technical about it, we were chosen to do what we do on this planet, and that's to civilize every other nation around us, and that's what we did. You can go anywhere in the world, you're gonna know that African people had something to do with the beginning of the culture there. I don't care where you go. Iceland, nigga, same shit. Excuse my language. I didn't mean to get that, but Iceland, Greenland, anywhere, Antarctica, bro. We dug the bottom of Antarctica out under the snow and built buildings under the snow there. That's why nobody is allowed to even go to Antarctica. Near the Bermuda Triangle, you will disappear if you go out there. They don't want you to know what they know. They don't want you to know what they seen the Africans do there. Hell, in Europe, right now today. Matter of fact, I started to post the video of the Pope kissing all the feet of the Moors in the grand, you know, in the highly regarded Moors of Africa over there in certain parts of Africa, because he wanted them to stop having the war that, you know what I'm saying, that they had going on. So he kissed their feet. That tells you that they are very much higher than those people in Europe, dog. The Queen of England gets her riches and her money from black nobility in Europe. We don't even know there are people higher than the Queen that lives in Europe that are black people, bruh. See, we skimming off the top of the cake. We on the icing, man. We ain't even getting into the cake, bruh. So we don't really know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? We see white people and we think, okay, well, they're pushing the agenda. Man, we don't even know. It's black people pushing that damn agenda, bruh. Black people. Come on, man. So I mean, we can't compare what they're doing here in America to what they're doing in Africa, because it's two different nations, two different agendas, and it doesn't even compare, man. To what we did back then to what's going on now, no, it doesn't compare. It doesn't. And even if it does, who gives them the right to do that to us? I could take it if an African go and enslave me. Who give you the right to do it?
Okay. You can seize your time, rest of your time.
Yeah, I'm gonna chill.
Okay. You ain't got to set the clock for me, Piankhi. I'm watching the clock, and I'm not gonna even use the whole 5 minutes. I feel like my bro was being misrepresented in the first place. You know, me as a Christian too, I love white people. Now, I'm not taking up for white supremacy. I'm not taking up for what white people did to our ancestors in the slave trade or any of that. But at the same time, I think that it's unfair for us to look down on all white people for what some white people have did. And if I could back up my brother Jerome and what he was saying, in certain instances, we deal with people who are black and talk negatively about all white people. And one reason why they do it, they bring up slavery. So a counter for that argument is that if you're going to be mad at white people for slavery, then you can be just as mad as black people for slavery. And when my brother Piankhi said that nobody brings up the European slave trade, we do it all the time. You know, there are a lot of black people who think that only black people were slaves. Me specifically, I bring up the European slave trade, the Irish slave trade, the Spain slave trade, all of that to show that, yeah, we agree that history agrees that what Africans, our ancestors went through over here in America was unique, but the slavery in general of owning another person, of course, brutalizing another person, beating them down, all that, that's not new. That's not unique. None of that is unique. That's been going on since the beginning of time. Owning people have been going on since the beginning of time. So for somebody to feel like that they have an ought against a whole race because of slavery, then they should have an ought against every race, including their own race, because everybody has been in slavery. And then I feel like that's the position that my brother was coming from. I know for a fact that he don't take up for white supremacy. I know for a fact that he don't take up for racist white people or any of that. His counter argument to black people who feel as if they are somehow special or should treat somebody else less than because of slavery, his counter argument is to say that everybody have had slaves, and that's the position that he was coming from. Piankhi, it's on you, man.
All right, nobody. Watch my time, because you know I ramble on for 30 minutes if you let me.
I got you.
So I hear what Marlon's saying, I hear what Jerome's saying, and I hear what you're saying. And I agree and I don't agree with some of what all y'all said. So let me tackle what you say you think Jerome meant. That's cool for a counter argument. If you oppose slavery, you should oppose slavery, period. But slavery can be broken down into many different variables or many different degrees, or you can compartmentalize slavery. You know, and I say that to, you know, indentured servitude is a form of slavery. We can compartmentalize that. It depends on the treatment of the people as it pertains to said slavery. And so this is where what happened to our ancestors differs from what happened to other people. So Jerome brought up, I forget the individual's name, but he said he was an African. I've heard other people bring that up, and not as a defense for white supremacy or slavery, colonization, etc. But he said that white people emulated what was being done on the continent. Here's where I disagree. White people or Europeans colonized indigenous lands. That was an operation they sought to do regardless of what was happening on the continent or other places. They sought to colonize other lands as grabs of power for themselves. It didn't make no difference what was happening on the continent between the indigenous people in those places. They wanted that land to further expand their empires, period. They could care less about the indigenous savages, as they would dub them, and what they was doing to each other. If they could use them for manual labor or whatever the situation was, or just kill them to get rid of them, that's what they did. They didn't view them as human beings. And again, I'm not speaking in general, because we know that some people did. Some people didn't view them as human beings per se, but still didn't want to see them slaughtered or enslaved with regards to the Europeans. So I'm not even saying that all of them felt like they should be enslaved or killed or whatever the case may be. They just felt like they should be left alone. So I'm not even putting all of them into the same category. I'm saying that there was an overwhelming majority of European people who were in power, who could care less about the indigenous people wherever they went, whether it was India, Australia, Japan, what we now know as the United States of America, Mexico, South America. They didn't care. And they didn't care what they did to those indigenous people, period. And it was the same way on the continent of Africa. So we could talk about what we did as far as African people did to each other as some kind of example or mechanism for what the European would later do. But again, the European had a modus operandi of expanding their empires, and they could care less about the indigenous people that lived in the places where they wanted to expand their empire. And it was a wholesale slaughter and enslavement of all of those indigenous people, whether it was Africa, India, America, Mexico, or South America. It didn't matter, because you have conflicts amongst people, period. Just like you have conflicts amongst European people. And people get enslaved, prisoners of war, or acquired. That happens amongst people of whatever ethnic group in whatever area. The European upped the ante, and he upped the ante full stock when he imposed his will on every other people on the planet. That's what he did, period. And we ain't got to sugarcoat it. We ain't got to try to pretend it was otherwise.
30 seconds.
Say that again?
Go, you got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Nah, that's it.
Okay. Jerome, go ahead, bro.
Okay, now I like some of the points Piankhi brought up, but my thing is, and I said it in my first, my first spiel, the European did up the ante. What the European did, or what some Europeans did, was indeed a microcosm of what was already taking place, in certain regions. So my thing is, if you have a man like Tibutil, whose sole objective was to kill as many African men, African women, and enslave as many African women and African children as possible, how is that not a microcosm of the macrocosm that will follow behind that, because we know what Leopold did in that same area just off of the strength of what Tib did. So that's my point. You know what I'm saying? That's one example that I can give that's irrefutable. You know what I'm saying? So, my point is that when it comes to humans slaughtering each other, indigenous lands being taken over, or areas being taken over, that is telling of the human heart, period. That is, to me, it has nothing to do really with one particular race. And that's just my take on it. I know people gonna disagree, but it is what it is.
Go ahead, Marlon.
Well, I mean, I understand what the brother's saying, Brother Jerome was saying, but at the same time, okay, when you look at Africa, most of the black people, whoever was doing the enslavement there, didn't leave Africa to go and take over no other places, bro. And they didn't even leave their own country or their own homeland to go and enslave other people all across Africa. They stayed right there. See what I'm saying? And Africa's a continent. It's not a damn country. That's a continent. You got 50-something countries in Africa. See what I'm saying? So when you compare Europe to Africa, as far as the size, Europe is like not even a quarter of what Africa is. And I understand why these people want the power that they're chasing, or they're going after, because they are weak, bruh. They invented guns, bruh. Africans ain't never invent no gun. We were strong enough to handle our own. We had spears and knives and swords and stuff, but a gun? Come on, man. We can kill you with our bare hands. We don't need no gun. They had to invent the gun because they could not just walk up to an African or run in there with they wasn't gonna do that. And that, like he said, their hearts, man, they crave power, man. They crave it because they are so weak, so desolate. They need something to make themselves feel like somebody. Now, I'm not getting what's the word? I'm not gonna get so intellectual about it. I'm just gonna be real about it and bring it to the platform as real as I possibly can without, getting to like I said, intellectual. You know what I'm saying? Because if anybody is listening to this doesn't understand what I'm saying, they're gonna be like, "What is he saying?" No, I'm gonna bring it to you straight to the face from off the top. I'm not gonna say big words. I'm just gonna say what it is. Black people in Africa probably, and they did, and I studied it myself. They did practice slavery, but not to the maximum that white people have, and they have a plan to take over the world. See, Africans were satisfied with right here in my little tribe, my little country, my little spot. We didn't care about the world, taking the world over. That's once you start thinking like that, you're trying to be God, man. Real stuff. Africans didn't when we did travel the world, which we circumnavigated the globe, we did more civilizing and teaching than destroying. And you can go in any part where African, Japan, Mexico, the Bahamas, all the islands are, here in America. We didn't come over here and destroy anything, bro. We brought a way of life, and we helped people become more civil. We even civilized Europeans, bro. They was living in caves and shit, bro. Grunting and talking to each other. Couldn't even talk to each other. They had to grunt and make sounds at each other. We brought them language. We showed them how to shower off. We built bathhouses in Europe. They still celebrate the bathhouse to this day. In places like Russia and places, you got big pools where everybody gets in and washes off at the same time. They were so happy to know that they could wash their bodies off, bro, and not have measles, mumps, and all this stuff you get from not being clean or not taking care of yourself, not brushing your teeth, sleeping with animals in the house with you. Put the animals outside and make a corral for the animals. Don't have them sleeping in the house with you. I mean, we could sit here and talk about anything the African did, but we never did it to the world. We never went outside of Africa and did it.
Okay. And that's concedes your time. I want to agree with my brother Jerome. Um, it's it's an individual's characteristic which make up who they are. None of us can make a blanket statement about any race. Just like white people can't say, well, because he's black, he know how to play basketball, or because he's black, he's a thug, or he's a rapper. We don't like it when they stereotype all black people like that. So why do we turn around and do the same thing to all white people? What happens to a person, just say if you're a slave master and you decide to brutalize your slave or not, that's a characteristic of an individual, you know, and that shows on the human heart. Nobody can prove that because a person has this type of skin color, they act this specific way, because it's not true. And if I could address my brother Marlon, a lot of the stuff you said is not true when it comes to, of course, we know that other nations traded with other nations. They traded ideas, they traded languages and certain things like that, but not to the scale of some of the things that you said. Um, White people been taking baths just like black people been taking baths. Before they even came into contact with black people, so fact is what history says, they were taking baths. If they wasn't, they would not have lasted as long on the planet as they did. You know, without taking baths comes germs and diseases and bacteria, and that's how you can kill off a group or a race of people. So of course they were taking baths, bro. When it comes to guns, I agree with you. I feel like, now this is just my personal opinion, and I've said this in a previous video that I found out that I was wrong. But my personal opinion, I do feel like black people are more athletic. We run faster, we jump higher, we fight better. So I would say that the Europeans did invent the gun, but I wouldn't say that they totally did it just to combat against Africa. Why would I say that? Because the first guns were used on themselves. They was, before they came to try to take over anybody else's land and all that, they was using their own inventions on themselves to find out if it works, to even go have a war with somebody else in their own country. When it comes to Africa and people enslaving people staying in their own tribe, that's a lie. We have evidence that Egypt was trying to conquer everything. They were trying to have, at first it was, it wasn't an upper Egypt and lower Egypt. It was just one part of Egypt. Once they started conquering different places like Nubia and different other lands, they took over those places too. So they did not just stay in their area. They did not just stay in their tribe. I would agree with you that a lot of them probably stayed on the continent, based off of what travel was like at that time. But we have record of the richest man in the world being an African man. You think he got that by going to go knock on people's doors saying, hey, give me your money, or hey, can you buy these incense from me? No, he was going around taking things. Africans went to war with each other too. Africans killed each other too. We tried to, oh, hey, you got this over there in your area. I don't have this. Give it to me, or I'm gonna come take it from you. That's not unique. White people didn't invent that. And what I find crazy is that a lot of people like to give credit to African people for all the stuff that we invented, which I agree. But when we bring up the negative stuff, all of a sudden, oh no, we didn't do that. Oh no, we didn't invent that. Well, come on, either we are the proprietors and progenitors and the originators of everything, or give people their credit where it's due. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like leading back to the original main point, I feel like that's where my brother Jerome and of course myself be going when we're making counter arguments for white people against black people who make a blanket statement against all white people. And I feel like that's where the argument comes in, that we're not taking up for no white supremacy as well as black supremacy or Mexican supremacy or white or none of that. We're saying the human condition when it comes to evil is not unique to one race. That's a part of humankind. Go ahead, Piankhi.
All right. Again, watch my time for me, bro. Again, I'm gonna disagree with my brother Jerome and my brother Trust, and in this regard. Again, so we talk about Africa. Now, my Trust, you would have to show me where Egypt tried to take over other places as opposed to just defending where they were. Now, when people, I can show you where when people made war against them, or when they had allegiances with other people and they made these people vassal kingdoms, where they held on to certain territories, but you would have to show me where they actually went and took over territories with war and with conflict once Smatawi was established, because we know it was established on war. I just want to throw that out there. So, but speaking to what we speaking to specifically about the European, and they desire to rule the world, as it were. This is where we disagree. I agree with let me say this. I agree that every people group has the capacity for evil. I don't think that that's disputable. However, I think it's indisputable that we have one people group that has a greater capacity for evil. Not because I just think so, because they themselves have demonstrated it against every other people group on the planet. This ain't me making it up. They've invaded indigenous lands. They've enslaved and introduced wholesale slaughter to the indigenous people of those areas that they've invaded. This is real life history. This ain't no hyperbole. They did this. I ain't making this up. This is history. So we could talk about what happened in Africa. Just like, again, we can talk about the fact that, like Jerome talked about, the African brother who did horrendous things to other Africans. And we could talk about plenty of Europeans who did horrendous things to other Europeans. So it's not like Europeans didn't have a standard of doing horrendous things to each other before they ever stepped foot on the continent. Rome was crucifying other Europeans throughout Europe way before they had a conflict with an African. Greeks was killing other Greeks way before they had a conflict with an African. So people have conflict with each other in their particular spaces of being. That's not a big deal to me. What I'm saying is we have one particular people group of one particular ancestral line, that being the European, that from that particular area that is taken up on themselves to colonize, enslave, and oppress indigenous people across the planet. Period. And I'll take it even further. When we get into the modern times, and we start to look at how we treated here in the United States, when something happens to an unarmed Black person, not only do we have to deal with what happened to that person name gets drugged through the mud after they've been killed to justify their killing. George Floyd was a drug addict and he had a criminal past. Okay. I think Jerome might not, Marlon might not, my brother Trust might not, but I know I have. I'm 44 years old. Been to juvenile, been locked up several times. I've done things that I'm not proud of right now to other Black people and to people of other races. I ain't proud of it, I ain't bragging about it, but I've done them. But if a police kill me in cold blood for the world to see, what the hell do that have to do with anything I've done in my past? But in this country, my name get drugged through the mud because of because I got killed. And so real quick, I'm gonna share my screen because this happened to me personally. I had a friend who I considered this man a friend, white man of European descent. And I took it upon myself to help this man, to be there for him and his child who happens to be biracial. He has a child with a Black woman. His child was being bullied by white kids who said he should give them a nigger pass. He should let these white kids call him a nigga, and he caved into it. So when his father found out about it, his father, knowing who I am and what I represent, asked for help. And I had my kids record videos telling him why he shouldn't allow that kind of disrespect ever from anybody. I've given him tips on he got financial issues, child support and other things. I've given him tips on how to open side business. I got a dealer's license, so I sell cars on the side. I got a cleaning company. You can do that on the side to make extra income. I went out of my way to help this man. And so I'm thinking that as it relates to Black people, considering that he has a Black son, he, more than most white people, he understands what it is we deal with on a daily basis, what it is we've been through on a daily basis, right? Nah, it don't matter who you are and who your friends are. There's still an element of racism. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Now, this is a Facebook post that this man made about George Floyd. You take my breath away. Hilarious. Now, I'm trying to figure out, if you take the racial element out of it, what's funny about somebody dying? Now, it was 3 autopsies on George Floyd that all said he died from asphyxiation. That means he died as a result of a man's knee being on his neck. He arguing on the post with a white woman, by the way, who said he died because a racist officer killed him. No, he probably OD'd on fentanyl. It was 3 autopsies that said he died from asphyxiation. So I don't care if he was high or not. Being high didn't kill him. But because he thought it was funny because he was Black. Now, since he apologized and we moving on from it, the reason I'm illustrating it to y'all is this. We have a racial component in this world that you cannot get around. You cannot let white people, European people, whatever you want to call them, Tom Who, whatever, off the hook for racism, be it past or present. Now, I know I went over my time, but whoever goes next should get a little extra time or whatever the case may be.
Piankhi, you left out Esau, bro. Piankhi, you left out Esau.
There you go, Esau.
Go ahead, Jerome.
Okay.
I don't know. One thing you got to realize, man, they've been washed in that, bro. So it don't matter what we do or what we try to change. They've been washed in that, bro. That's what they're going to be about, man. Okay. I just want to say that.
All right, Rom, go ahead, bro.
Okay. To Piankhi's point, I even to certain points Marley made, I agree. Like, the capacity for annexation is undoubtedly, it goes to the European. That, I mean, you can't argue that. You know what I'm saying? My only point is the microcosms that preceded the macrocosm that we got from the European in the first place. That's my whole argument. And I'm not trying to vitiate white supremacy, nah, but I'm just trying to look at both sides of the coin. That's it. So that's all I have to say on that part. But on the part for George Floyd, man, like, I don't, like, for somebody to try to make a joke out of it, or for somebody to even try to downplay it, like one of the sisters that, though I admire her intellect to a degree, I think that she says the wrong things at the wrong times, you know, at times. And that's Candace Owens. She tried to downplay George Floyd's death by saying that he was a criminal, or he was, you know, a drug addict, or whatever the case may be. To me, that does not depreciate the intrinsic value of that man's life. And it certainly doesn't contravene the way that he was killed. That officer never should have been on his neck in the first place. And for what, over 8 minutes, I mean, he made sure that George Floyd died. You know what I'm saying? He did that on purpose. So I mean, that just, you can't get around that. You can't try to, make it seem like that just, it don't exist. You know what I'm saying? And for Piankhi's friend to either make that post or share that post, to me, that was underhanded. That just undermined everything that Piankhi had done for him up until that point. You know what I'm saying? And you know, for me personally, I'm gonna just be honest with the entire panel and everybody who may listen to this. It may have taken me longer to forgive that guy than than Piankhi. It took Piankhi to forgive him, because I mean, something like that, man, that could have literally been one of us. Because everybody on this panel is Black, and everybody on this panel is not immune to that happening to them. So I just feel like, man, that was it was very nefarious for him to even share or make that post. You know what I'm saying? That man has a daughter who's never gonna see her father again. You know what I'm saying? And that just, now that blows my mind. Like how somebody's mind could be that twisted to make or share something like that. I'll never be able to intellectualize that. You know what I'm saying? Like never be able to come to an answer outside of, just the capacity for evil, like Piankhi and like Marlon brought up and like Jacobus brought up. So, that's all I got to say on that part. I may have a few minutes left, but I can see my time.
Go ahead, Marlon. Marlon, unmute yourself, bro.
All right. No, I mean, whew, that right there, man. That right there, bro. That's like, see, that right there, man. I would kill you for something like that, bro. Okay, because throughout the history of, and I will say this, okay, it's been documented that we taught white people how to wash their funky ass, bro. I don't care what you say, Jacobius, because you my homie, but I'm gonna tell you straight up, white people did not bathe, bro. Until the Africans came into Europe and built the bathhouses in Rome and Europe and all over Europe, white people did not bathe, bro. That's why they had mumps, measles, and all that types of shit. And they lived with animals in the caves and houses with them. Black people domesticated animals and put them in corrals. We kept them outside. Now, these people were savage, man. And it still shows in the way that they are today. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that they learned from us is how to put on clothes and how to dress up and how to see. Africans taught these people a whole lot. Y'all don't seem to understand. We were royalty, all right? African people had everything. Europeans didn't have anything. You can go in Europe right now and try to dig for gold and you'll never find it. Try to get some oil out of there. You'll never find it. Try to get zinc, platinum, anything like that. You'll never find it in Europe. Africa is the main land, the homeland, the motherland for every piece of anything that we use in this country, in this world. Everybody gets what they want from Africa, bruh. You gotta understand, they ain't just no dumb niggas running around over there talking ooh, ooh, ooh. They not them type. They are very educated people, bro. They got so many different languages in Africa, man. They can speak any language that we can speak out here because they provided the language to the world, bro. We need to stop sleeping on African people, man. Stop sleeping on yourself, because we are African people. We're all over the world, okay? We're all over the world. We left Africa and dispersed all over the world. Now, back on the European, he's such a funky, stinking, nobody, nothing, that he will do anything he has to do to become somebody, become something, become what he can't. You know what I'm saying? He can't be us. They want to be us bad, bro. So the only thing they could do to feel themselves is run the world, take the whole world over, make everybody bow to us, make everybody like us, make everybody respect us. Why do you have to make people respect you? Why do you have to make people like you? It should be intrinsic. You just do what you do and people like you. If you got the power, you do what you do and your power will remain with you. That's how Africa did it. We never, we did what we did in Africa, but we never went to another continent, bro, and try to take over. We brought a way of life with us, bro. We brought language there. We taught Spanish how to speak Spanish. When you go in Africa, you find all languages, bro. You go outside of Africa, you don't find all languages. You find them spread out around the globe. We taught these languages to these people. They didn't have a damn language. They didn't. They didn't. And we civilized the world, bro. We civilized these people. And you can say, oh, white people they never wash their asses, man. Go in Europe right now, all you're gonna see is they got the bathhouse in every place, big places where people can go and wash off together. They celebrate the bathhouse because the African introduced it to them. Of course, we introduced everything to them, man. Slavery and all that. But in Africa, slavery was not done the way it is done to people now because they had power. They didn't have the power of guns and nothing like that. They just had power, man. People respected them. People wanted to be enslaved to go into the Dogon tribe and be enslaved because they want to live with them. They had everything. They had the gold, they had the riches, they had the servitude. Yeah, I want to live with them. They wanted to go into the Zulu tribe and work for them. Nobody made them come in there. Nobody put no guns in their head and say, y'all gonna be slaves. Nobody did none of that. These people wanted to work for, they wanted to be, they wanted to carry these kings around on these doggone chariots and stuff. They wanted to do that, bro. Nobody made them do anything. Some of them were slaughtered. Yeah. For whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a part of slavery in any country, any people. It doesn't matter if they're African, European, or whatever. But the European is such a weak being. He wants to be known. He wants somebody to look at him. Somebody see me over here. Somebody recognize me. That's why they're trying to take over the world because they have a bad thing about wanting to be known. They want to be known, man. That's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. That's just like a dude who wants to be a rapper or whatever. They want to be known. They want to be on TV, be actors and stuff. They want to be known. That's what it's about. Period.
Okay.
But that's what it's about.
Yeah. That's cool. Okay. Let me address my brother Piankhi first. If you go and look up Boundless World History and their section on Nubia and ancient Egypt, based off of rock art, that Nubia and Egyptians were rivals. They had both periods of peace and war, but they were known as rivals with each other. The Egyptians would want to go down to Nubia because of the resources that were in Nubia, and they would fight each other over the trade routes of where Nubia was at. Egypt wanted that land. That is a fact. So there were Egyptians who did go to war with other Africans for the same reasons that my brother Marlon is saying white people went to war with Africa. That is a fact. Africans did go to war with each other. So that's what I want to address on that. With you, brother Marlon, you do know that there are certain elements of the earth that are indigenous to certain lands, right? And if you don't, I hope you do know that. Things that are indigenous to Europe, so fact as things like bodies of water, fish, natural gases, coal, iron, those are natural resources found in Europe, bro. They didn't have to go to Africa for that. They already had it there, including wood. Again, it is a fact that water is an abundant resource in Europe because they live by so many bodies of water, bro. They've been bathing, bro. Now, I think what you meant to say was there are different types of elements of soap that comes out of Africa in which they would teach them what to use. And I can give you that, but to flat out say that these people were not bathing at all, knowing that they were surrounded by all these bodies of water, and as well as the things that are indigenous to Europe, what you said is a lie, bro. I mean, you know, you're still my brother, but it's a lie, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, there are things that are natural resources to particular lands. There are things that are not in Africa that are in Europe. There are things that are in America that are not in Alaska. There, you know, so every land has some kind of natural resource that only grows in that place. For example, I live in Texas. Bluebonnets, the flower don't grow nowhere else on earth but in Texas. It's indigenous to the state of Texas. So apply that to not only states, apply that to countries, bro. So whoever told you that these European people were not bathing their butts until they met some Africans, they flat out lied to you, bro. And they can't prove that. Now, you can prove the bathhouses and all that, but that don't mean that that was the first time these people got in a tub. We know for a fact that people started bathing in oceans and bodies of water before there was ever a tub ever invented. The Egyptians themselves were bathed in the Nile River. A lot of them would get infected because they would use the Nile River to bathe, for also drinking water and all that stuff. So they would get infected with diseases too. So disease is not something that is indigenous to Europe or white people. Disease is everywhere. Bacteria is everywhere, bro. So whoever taught you that, man, I would suggest that you stop listening to them, bro. You know what I'm saying? But back to the point of what Piankhi was making with his homeboy with the post that he made. Now, forgive me, y'all. I may have a sick sense of humor. And if I saw a white person shared it, I would probably feel the same way that y'all feel. But my group of homeboys who are black and all that, we have a twisted sense of humor. If one of them would have shared that, let's just say with me, I probably would have laughed at it. Not me downplaying his death, but laughing at it for the fact of why they posted it. And that's just me. And if I offend y'all, forgive me, because I ain't gonna say I don't care, because I do care. And forgive me if I offend y'all for doing that. But I agree with Piankhi based off of him being a white person. And this is me being hypocritical. I get that to myself. Based off him being a white person, nah, he shouldn't have shared that. I don't think nobody should have shared it. But me personally, if one of my friends, as goofy as we are, if they would personally share that with me, like in an inbox or something, I probably would have just laughed at it and moved on. You know what I'm saying? But I like something that my brother Jerome brought up when it comes to Candace Owens. I listen to her a lot, and I think a lot of people misunderstand her position as well. I've never heard her downplay the murder of George Floyd. Every video she has talking about George Floyd, she starts the video off letting it be known that she's not justifying the murder. The stances that she take on George Floyd is a counter argument to the people who looked up to George Floyd since he has died, as if the lifestyle that he lived was something to applaud. That's why her and people like her, and also people such as myself, I don't have a problem with people bringing up people's background. To me, that gives you character on a person. At the same time, bringing up character on a person is not a justification of why somebody should have died. I've said this several times in several videos on this platform. I don't think there's any reason why somebody should murder anybody. Let them go have their day in court for whatever crime that they did. But showing the characteristics of a person, I have no problem with that. For example, if I died tomorrow and somebody was to run my background, there's not too many bad things you can say about me. So you bringing up my background would only show that if people decided to lift me up for the positive I was doing, if they looked up my background would show the same thing. And I'm pretty sure other people's backgrounds who are like that would show the same thing. Now, yeah, I've broken houses, I've stolen cars, I've robbed people. Now, I don't have any of that on record, thank God. You know, I've never been to prison or in any of that. So nobody would ever find that unless they would actually know somebody who knew me, who actually saw me do it. But if somebody was to run my background, you wouldn't find anything negative on me. I don't have a background at all. So I don't really mind people bringing up people's background just to show characteristics. But again, I don't think that nobody should bring up anybody's background to justify somebody's murder. And I've never heard Candace Owens or people that I follow like her who have brought up other people's background to justify their murder. I've only saw them bring up people's background to show what type of characteristics this person or particular persons are as a counter argument for people who put out the notion that we should somehow look up to these people or worship or praise these people just because they are dead. And that would be my position on that. Go ahead, Piankhi. Okay, y'all, Piankhi had to step away for a second. I want Jerome and Marlon to get back into that conversation that y'all was having in the group about Malcolm X. Marlon, do you want to start now? Matter of fact, since you just went, Jerome, reiterate what the drama was about and make your point on the video that y'all was going in on Malcolm X, and then Marlon, you go behind him, and y'all do that back and forward.
Okay, the video initially was about Khalid Muhammad.
Hey, real quick, before y'all go, my bad, my grandkids wanted to say bye to me. I had to run upstairs right quick.
Okay.
I want y'all to go in, but let me get my spiel on what my brother just said.
Okay.
First of all, yeah, you got a sick sense of humor, my dude.
I know.
Second of all, like I told you when it initially happened, I'd have been pissed at you too, like straight up. But as my brother, who I've cultivated a different type of relationship with, I think we would have been able to hash it out a little bit different, because at the end of the day, I know you Black.
Yeah.
And I know
I would never post something like that too, though. I was just saying if one of my friends shared that with me, I probably would have laughed. I would never post nothing like that.
Right. So you know, it would have been a different conversation, but you still would have been like, yeah, bro, take this shit seriously, because I do. So, you know, we would have had a different type of conversation, but it still would have been a harsh conversation. And you might have looked at me like, yeah, this dude, you know, he a little different when it comes to this type of stuff, because that's just how it is. To me, ain't nothing funny about it. And that's why when it comes to Candace Owens and her talking about bringing up somebody's background, like you just said, if somebody got killed and it's unjust, what their background got to do with it? What their character got to do with it? Because again, Trayvon Martin got killed by the coward George Zimmerman. I don't care if he smoked weed in high school. I don't care if he shoplifted in high school. He got killed by a man who was told not to follow him just because he saw that boy and thought he was suspicious. He wasn't doing nothing. This bastard just had a problem with him being in that neighborhood. It didn't matter to me. Nothing he did beyond that day mattered to me, except for that bastard decided to follow him and kill him. Same thing with George Floyd. Don't matter to me what he did up until that point. I don't agree with nothing he did in his past as far as his criminal activity, and I don't have to. What he did that day didn't warrant him dying. So you can bring up his past all you want to, and it still don't warrant him dying, period. Right. Tamir Rice was a child. He was a child. Sandra Bland was a woman. But this is what these bastards do. The only time they didn't do it was with Philando Castile, because they couldn't. He was a pillar in his community. Everybody that they talked to said, hold on, this you got the wrong one on this one. Yeah. And so my point being, but they tried to do it. They tried.
But did you hear what I said, Piankhi? But did you hear what I said at first, though? If they were bringing up people's backgrounds to justify their death, I'm in total agreement with you. The people who I mentioned were not bringing up their backgrounds to justify their death. That's the point I'm making.
Okay, no. But you said because people want to aspire to be them or view them as a hero, but nobody's doing that. Nobody's aspiring to be somebody who got killed by police. What they doing is grieving for a person who could have, like I told my former friend, because Jerome, I want to be clear, I ain't forgive nobody. I ain't forgive nothing. I just moved past it, and we can work together and we can rap and we can associate as it pertains to, but we'll never hang out again. He'll never come to my house again. None of that. Because my son literally thought this man was cool. And that's no longer a situation. You'll never be around my son, in my son's presence again, breathing the same oxygen. That's over. So I don't forgive nothing, ever. So my point is,
but do you think that's justified though, Piankhi? No,
I don't care if it's justified. Okay, I don't do it.
You don't care, okay.
I ain't a Christian. I ain't forgiving
I'm
nobody.
I mean, I'm not saying justified under Christianity.
So I don't, but I ain't gotta be justified in it. That's just where that's where it's at.
No, I feel you.
So
here's
the thing. Here's the thing. When that could have been my son. Like I told him. Would it have been funny if it was that boy who thought you was the coolest dude he ever met? Would it have been funny? No, it wouldn't have been funny then because it was a child that you knew, but it could have been that child easily. This big lumbering 14-year-old boy could have easily been somebody that the cops thought was a threat and been laid out on his ass. And would you have made a card and thought it was cool then when they was looking at my son background trying to justify what happened to him? No, you would have been rubbing my back. I'm sorry, man. But why you can't see the humanity in another black man that you don't know? And so Candace Owens, Justin Tatum, and all these other coons, because that's what they is. They coons, they sellouts, they sambos. That's what they is. Because anytime that you let the media use you as a weapon against your own people, that's what you are, period. And I ain't got nothing for you. So you want to be a Negro bed wench because you love white people so much and you got the white man ass so far up your throat that your breath will never stop smelling like shit. That's cool, but that's not what I'm on. So my point is this. If she said the truth, I would respect her more, that you just don't like your own people. But you said nobody's aspiring to be a drug addict ex-con. What people are doing, they tired of seeing unarmed black people get killed. Nobody's aspiring to be George Floyd. Who said they want to be George Floyd? Nobody. She made that shit up. Nobody viewed George Floyd as a hero.
Yes, they did, bro. I can show you the news. Hold on, wait.
It's a difference between viewing somebody as a hero and saying that he was a martyr and that he shouldn't have been killed. That don't mean he was a hero.
No, listen, I can show you direct news articles from CNN, from MSNBC, saying this dude was a hero.
That's the media. I'm talking about black people.
Wait. And when you read the article, the people who saying it are the people who are black or whatever, calling him a hero. This is what I'm saying. I would totally agree with y'all if those type of people were bringing up those backgrounds in order to justify the death. That's not what y'all doing is misrepresenting the argument. If a person is showing you, well, hey, you shouldn't aspire to be like this, or you shouldn't look up to this type of person as a hero, look up to this black person, look up to that black person. Because
then say, hold on. Then say look up to this type of black person and lead a dead person out of it. Lead a dead person out of it. What you bringing up the dead person for?
It depends on the argument that you're making with that position.
You can't give me no justification for you bringing up somebody who died unjustly as in a negative light as a means to try to say, be like this. Just say, be like better black people. If that's what your aim is.
Come on, man.
But you ain't got to disparage a dead man.
I gotta say this for the third time, bro. If it was justifying the death, I would agree with you. That's not what's going on, bro.
Forget justifying his death. What are you speaking disparagingly about a dead man for, period?
Okay, I can tell you why. Okay, hold
on, real quick before you go. So you justifying her disparaging a dead man?
No, I'm justifying her having a counter argument for people who look up to those type of people rather than people they should look up to, dead or not. I don't care if they dead or not. Hitler dead. Hold on, wait. Hitler dead. So should I say because he dead? Oh, he didn't kill the 6 million people that he killed, and he did A, B, and C. Same thing, bro. Just because the person is black, that don't mean that you shouldn't address.
So we comparing unarmed black people being killed to Hitler?
You said somebody dead. I don't care who it is.
Come on, man.
Dead or alive.
To me, this is a silly ass argument to me.
I mean, listen, I'm saying
as a black person, you ain't got nothing better to do than to talk about a black person who been killed unjustly by the police. You ain't got nothing better to do than to put a dead black man down who been killed unjustly by the police. And you defending that shit?
You asked me a
Fuck
question.
Candace Owens.
You asked me a question. Let me answer your question, bro.
Period.
Come on. Let me answer your question, bro. Come on.
Fuck her.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm not saying that you should like her or nothing like that.
I don't.
Come on, man. Come on,
At
bro.
all.
Please let me speak, bro.
Go ahead.
This is what I'm saying, bro. When you jump online with certain people, you and this person can have a back and forward to where now you have to present your case. It wasn't like I'm just use Candace Owens for an example, since I do follow her. It wasn't like she just woke up one day and was like, hey, I'm finna make a video about George Floyd just out of the blue. No, she told you the whole reason why she would make a video. She would be like, well, hey, I was talking to this person and this person said this. Well, let me show them why I say this or why I say that. It's not like you're making it like, oh, a black person died, so now this person just jumped on saying, well, hey, this person should have died because they know. That's not what happened in the case of Candace Owens and the video that she put out. She makes it clear before she even go into her argument, hey, I was talking to this person, or hey, I seen somebody said this, or hey, I seen somebody say. She's making a counter argument to people who are making these arguments, bro. She's not justifying the death, or she's not doing none of that. She even give reasons. Hey, okay, well, hey, if you're gonna look up to this person for this, hey, black women, look up to this woman for this, or hey, black man, look up to this man for this. She does that. So how can a person be a coon for telling a person, hey, not saying don't get on the police, not saying the police shouldn't be locked up and all that. She's never made that argument. She agrees that police should be locked up. She agrees that what that police did was wrong. He should go to jail for life. She said that several times. So she's not justifying the death. She's justifying the argument of people who look up to people like him or others who were bad people. I don't care if they did or not, who were bad people, and saying, hey, don't strive to be like that. There's nothing wrong with that, bro. I'm going to teach my kids that same thing. I'm going to teach my son, hey, police out here looking for you, son. Hey, man, some of them do be tripping. You don't want to end up, getting shot by nobody or getting killed by nobody. But if you're over here doing this, if you're over here at school, going to college, doing your thing, you have a less chance of being involved with the police than you are making fake dollar bills, putting guns to pregnant women's stomach, smoking, drinking, and doing all that. People sometimes invite the police into their life, bro. So there's nothing wrong with that, bro.
Bro, when you get done, I ain't got no justification for a black woman putting down a dead black man who died unjustly at the hands of the police.
Come on, bro. It's like you didn't hear nothing I said.
I heard everything you said. And I still ain't got no place for it.
I mean, that's And
Jay, go cozy up with your white husband.
Yeah,
and deal with white people, because that's the community that you love. That's the community that you cater to. That's who ass you want to kiss. So go do that.
Piankhi, speaking of that, it is.
Bruh. I'm done talking about Candace Owens. I'm gonna let the brothers have their dialogue. Candace Owens.
Piankhi, let me agree with you, bro.
The only thing Candace Owens can do for me that'll be a benefit.
Stop grandstanding, bro. Let me agree.
That'll be a benefit. It's to kiss my black ass.
Piankhi, bro, stop grandstanding.
Bro, I'm done talking about Candace Owens, bro.
Piankhi,
I'm not listening to a Candace Owens apologist, man. I'm not
trying to do that. I'm trying to make a whole nother point.
You are. I'm done with her. I'm done with her.
Okay, let me say something else.
You want to justify what she said about a dead black man?
Let me say something else, bro. Let me say something else. You just said something I want to touch on.
Man. You want to justify the woman talking about a dead black man? I don't want to talk about her no more, because
you can't say I'm finna justify nothing if you don't let me talk, bro.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay, let me talk. You said that Candace Owens has a white husband. All I was finna say is
she do.
All I was finna say is, isn't it funny how she have a white husband and B. Tatum has a white wife? Like, come on, let me talk, bro. That's all I was finna say. You grandstanding. Calm down.
I'm not grandstanding.
You're not letting me talk. I was just agreeing with you. You just said I was finna try to justify. No, you said she had a white husband.
I'm just tired of talking about her, but go ahead.
I know. Okay, so let's move on. All I was finna say, since you said that, I was finna say, yeah, Candace Owens have a white husband, and it's funny that B. Tatum have a white wife, and they both own the same stuff. That's all I was finna say, bro. I wasn't finna knock down any shit.
Yeah, no, it ain't funny. It ain't even ironic. It's obvious.
I mean, ironic, whatever.
They
Yeah,
got white people ass so far down their throat that they breath ain't gonna never stop smelling like shit. And I say that to the bitter end. They both love white people unconditionally, and they got a problem with their own people. Period. And that's it. That's